Both of Lisbon's most catastrophic earthquakes struck on All Saints' Day. The first hit November 1st, 1531, destroying over 2,000 homes and killing thousands. Exactly 224 years later, on November 1st, 1755, an even more devastating quake leveled 85% of the city, killed up to 50,000, and triggered a tsunami. The coincidence of sharing the same religious holiday, when citizens were in churches that collapsed, defied all probability, leading 18th century theologians to call it divine judgment. Modern seismologists find no geological explanation for the date repetition. Jerusalem's first and second temples were destroyed on the exact same Hebrew calendar date, the 9th of Avan. In 586 BCE, Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar burned Solomon's temple, exiling Jews to Babylon. Precisely 656 years later, on the same date in 70 CE, Roman general Titus burned Herod's temple, scattering Jews across the empire. This date became Judaism's saddest day, commemorated annually with fasting. The statistical impossibility of both destructions coinciding on Tisha B'Av has no historical parallel, with rabbinic sources emphasizing the deliberate divine calendar alignment as both warning and prophecy. The World Trade Center was attacked twice by terrorists, targeting the same symbolic heart of America. On February 26, 1993, a Ryder truck bomb detonated in the underground garage, killing 6 and injuring over 1,000. 8 years later, on September 11, 2001, hijacked planes struck both towers, killing 2,977. Both plots were conceived by Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, involved vehicles as weapons, and aimed to collapse the towers. The second attack succeeded where the first failed, fulfilling a deadly prophecy and proving that even failed terrorism can foreshadow greater horror. London's 2 most devastating medieval fires were both started by bakers in the early morning hours. In July 1212, a baker's negligence in Southwark sparked a blaze that destroyed 3,000 homes and killed an estimated 3,000 people on London Bridge. Exactly 454 years later, at 2 a.m. on September 2, 1666, Thomas Farriner's bakery on Pudding Lane caught fire, leading to the Great Fire that consumed 13,200 houses and 87 churches. Both fires spread catastrophically due to strong winds and closely packed wooden buildings, reshaping London's architecture permanently. As Constantinople fell twice through breaches of its supposedly impregnable sea walls. In April 1204, Crusader forces used Venetian ships to storm the sea walls during the Fourth Crusade, sacking the Christian city for 3 days. Exactly 249 years later, in May 1453, Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II used massive cannons to breach the same sea walls, ending the Byzantine Empire. Both invasions involved innovative naval tactics. Both surprised defenders who trusted the Golden Horn's chain barrier, and both marked the violent end of eras for the Eastern Roman Empire. St. Petersburg has been renamed after each major political upheaval in Russian history. In 1914, at the outbreak of World War I, it became Petrograd to eliminate the Germanic Burg. In 1924, after Lenin's death, it transformed into Leningrad to honor the revolutionary leader. In 1991, following the Soviet Union's collapse, it reverted to St. Petersburg. Each name change occurred within a decade of catastrophic national transformation, with the city's identity literally rewritten to match the ruling ideology, making it Russia's most politically volatile metropolis. The 1906 San Francisco earthquake and 1989 Loma Prieta quake share remarkable parallels. Both ruptured the San Andreas Fault, Both caused catastrophic fires from broken gas lines, and both led to complete overhauls of building codes. The 1906 quake killed over 3,000 and destroyed 80% of the city, while 1989's killed 63 and collapsed the Bay Bridge. Both struck during major sporting events, 1906 during the intercalated Olympics preparations, and 1989 during the World Series. The similarities reveal how fault-line cities repeat disaster patterns despite modern technology. Dresden was destroyed twice in February, each time during a war for German survival. The 1760 siege by Austrian forces ended on February 10th with the city starved into submission and its fortifications leveled. Exactly 185 years later, between February 13th, 1945, Allied bombers created a firestorm that killed 25,000 civilians and reduced the Baroque city centre to ashes. Both events occurred as winter turned to spring. Both targeted the civilian population, and both left Dresden's architectural heritage so shattered that reconstruction continues today. Venice suffered two plagues, 2 generations apart, that killed nearly identical portions of its population. The 1576 outbreak killed 50,000 people, roughly 30% of the city's population, including the great painter Titian. The 1630 plague killed 46,000, approximately 33% of residents, including the father of architect Baldassare Longhena. Both plagues arrived via infected merchants from the Ottoman Empire. Both forced the Doge to perform emergency processions, and both struck during carnival season, turning celebration into mass mourning and fundamentally altering Venetian art and architecture. Krakow's Wawel Cathedral has been the site of repeated royal death patterns across 5 centuries. King Henry III of France was crowned there in 1574, then assassinated in Paris in 1589, his heart returned and buried at Wawel. King Sigismund III held his coronation there in 1587 and had his funeral there in 1632. The pattern repeats for 8 Polish monarchs who began and ended their reigns within the same cathedral walls, creating a macabre tradition where Wawel served as both womb and tomb for royal power, concentrating Poland's sovereignty in one sacred space. The Berlin Wall's beginning and end both occurred in November, creating a symmetrical 28-year arc. Construction began on November 15, 1961, when East German troops closed the border overnight with barbed wire. The wall fell on November 9, 1989, when a Politburo spokesman mistakenly announced immediate border opening, triggering crowds to dismantle it. Both events happened suddenly, both caught the world by surprise, and both became symbolic bookends for the Cold War, with November forever marking Germany's division and reunification in the same calendar month. Moscow has burned twice during foreign invasions, each fire destroying 3/4 of the city. The 1547 Great Fire during Ivan the Terrible's minority killed 2,700 to 3,700 and destroyed 25,000 homes. The 1812 fire, set by Muscovites to deny Napoleon resources, consumed 75% of structures as French troops occupied the Kremlin. Both fires followed military catastrophes. Both were blamed on foreign agents, and both forced radical rebuilding that changed Moscow's street plan permanently, creating the modern radial layout and fireproof masonry requirements. Smyrna, modern Izmir, burned twice in September during Greek-Turkish conflicts. The 1919 fire during the Greek occupation destroyed the Armenian quarter, killing hundreds. The 1922 Great Fire, ignited as Turkish forces recaptured the city, obliterated the Greek and Armenian districts, killing 10,000 to 125,000. Both fires targeted Christian minorities. Both occurred during population exchanges, and both marked the violent end of Greek presence in Anatolia, with the same waterfront mansions burning in both disasters 33 months apart, erasing 3 millennia of Greek civilization in the city. Athens suffered catastrophic plagues twice while under enemy siege, each devastating democracy's foundations. The 430 BCE plague during the Peloponnesian War killed Pericles and 1/3 of Athenians, destroying the social fabric documented by Thucydides. The 1821 plague during the Greek Revolution killed 15,000, including war heroes, as Ottoman forces besieged the Acropolis. Both plagues struck in summer, both were documented by contemporary historians, and both weakened Athens just as it fought for survival against foreign powers, proving the city's vulnerability despite its wall-protected democracy. Dublin's 2 most famous uprisings both ended with leaders executed at Kilmainham Jail, creating martyrdom narratives that fueled Irish independence. The 1803 Robert Emmet Rising saw its leader hanged and beheaded outside the jail after his failed coup. The 1916 Easter Rising's leaders, including James Connolly and Patrick Pearse, were shot by firing squad in the same prison yard. Both rebellions were poorly armed, both had symbolic proclamations read in Dublin, and both transformed dead revolutionaries into national heroes whose graves became pilgrimage sites for generations. Boston's deadliest disasters both involved industrial substances flooding streets and killed dozens through asphyxiation. The 1919 Great Molasses Flood killed 21 when a 2.3 million gallon tank burst, creating a 25-foot wave that suffocated victims. The 1942 Coconut Grove nightclub fire killed 492 when a synthetic palm tree ignited, releasing toxic fumes that caused most deaths by asphyxiation. Both tragedies occurred in crowded areas, both led to major safety reforms, and both shocked Americans who couldn't imagine such mundane materials causing mass casualties in a modern city. Paris has witnessed 2 massacres of perceived internal enemies, each killing thousands, in August. The 1572 St. Bartholomew's Day massacre killed 3,000 Huguenots in 3 days, triggered by a royal wedding. The 1792 September massacres killed 1,400 prisoners over 5 days, perpetrated by revolutionaries fearing counter-revolution. Both were orchestrated by authorities, both targeted religious or political minorities, and both stained Paris's reputation as the city became synonymous with revolutionary violence and religious intolerance during periods of governmental crisis. Chicago burned twice in October, each fire reshaping America's fire safety laws. The 1871 Great Fire killed 300, destroyed 3.3 square miles, and left 100,000 homeless, supposedly started by a cow kicking over a lantern. The 1874 Second Great Fire destroyed 812 buildings, killed 20, and caused $50 million damage. Both fires spread rapidly through wooden structures. Both occurred during dry spells. Both forced Chicago to rebuild with cast iron and steel, inadvertently creating the modern skyscraper architecture that defines the city today. Jerusalem has been captured on identical calendar dates twice, each time ending Christian rule. On July 15, 1099, Crusaders breached the walls after a month-long siege, massacring Muslims and Jews. Exactly 145 years later, on July 15, 1244, the Khwarezmian Turks captured the city from Crusaders, leading to its final loss by Christians. Both invasions involved surprise attacks, both resulted in wholesale slaughter, and both happened during summer heat, creating a date cursed in medieval chronicles for Jerusalem's bloodshed and the futility of controlling the holy city. London's deadliest plagues both killed 20% of the population and originated from continental ports. The 1348 Black Death killed 40,000, 50% of Londoners, brought by ships from Gascony. The 1665 Great Plague killed 100,000, 20%, arriving from Amsterdam. Both spread through rat populations in summer, both forced king and parliament to flee, and both ended mysteriously with the Great Fire of 1666, actually stopping the second plague's spread, while the first ended with changing seasons, proving London's vulnerability to imported disease.